Hey, welcome to MediByte. Our goal here is to break down complex health topics and make them easy to understand. And today, we're diving into a group of viruses that are incredibly common, but, also pretty misunderstood. The herpes viruses.
So, to get us started, let me ask you something. What do chickenpox, the kind you got as a kid, a really annoying cold sore, and a case of mono that completely knocked you out in college, what do they all have in common? I mean, they seem like totally separate things, right? But what if I told you they're all caused by viruses from the exact same family? Yep, you guessed it. They all belong to the herpes virus family. And this family is, well, it's way bigger and more varied than you may think, causing some of the most common infections people get all over the world.
So, just how big are we talking about here? Well, when it comes to the ones that typically infect us humans, there's really one key number to remember: 8. That's it. 8 different types of these viruses, and each one causes its own unique set of problems. So let's do a quick meet and greet with the whole family, shall we? All right, let's start with the members you've probably heard of, the ones that are famous for causing blisters. First up, you've got herpes simplex virus type 1, or HSV1. That's the usual culprit behind cold sores. Then there's HSV2, which is most often linked with genital herpes. And finally, there's the varicella zoster virus. Now, this one's a two-for-one deal. It causes chickenpox the first time you get it, and then it can come back later in life as shingles. Okay, so those are the blister causers. But the rest of the family? They're responsible for a totally different lineup of illnesses. You've got Epstein-Barr virus, that's the one behind mono. There's cytomegalovirus, or CMV, which can be pretty serious for newborns or people with weakened immune systems. Then there are human herpes viruses 6 and 7, which cause a common childhood illness called roseola. And last but not least, human herpes virus 8, which is linked to a type of cancer called Kaposi sarcoma, mainly in people who are immunocompromised.
So we have 8 different viruses, right? Causing everything from blisters to mono. They seem so different. So what's the one big characteristic that ties them all together? What actually makes a herpes virus, well, a herpes virus? The answer is pretty fascinating and honestly a little unsettling.
It all boils down to this. And this is the most crucial thing to understand. Once you're infected with any of these 8 viruses, you are infected for life. The virus literally never leaves your body. It just stays dormant in some of your cells. So what does dormant even mean in this context? Well, you can think of it like the virus is hibernating. It enters this latent or inactive state where it just hides out inside your own cells, like your nerve cells. It's not making copies of itself. It's just lying low, totally off the radar of your immune system. And that's exactly why your body can't just clear it out. And this hiding ability, this dormant state, that's what makes reactivation possible. So your initial infection, that's the first time your body ever sees the virus, is when you get sick with something like chickenpox. But then, years, maybe even decades down the road, that sleeping virus can suddenly wake up. And when it does, it can cause a completely different illness, like shingles. The crazy part is the virus was there the whole time, just waiting. Okay, I know hearing that these viruses are basically lifelong passengers might sound a little grim, but that is definitely not the whole story. Because while we can't evict them, we've gotten really, really good at fighting back when they decide to wake up. And that is the really good news here. After decades of research, scientists have developed a whole arsenal of effective antiviral medications. These are drugs designed specifically to go after herpes viruses, helping to manage symptoms and really get those outbreaks under control. And the treatments are pretty specific, which is great. For common issues like shingles or genital herpes, we have really safe oral medications like acyclovir. But for more serious infections like CMV, especially in really vulnerable patients, doctors can bring out the powerful stuff like ganciclovir. And then for something like a cold sore, treatment can be as simple as a cream you apply directly, like penciclovir. The main point here is that medicine has developed specific tools for each of these specific viral problems. All right, that was a lot of information, I know. So let's just quickly boil it all down to the 3 biggest takeaways you should remember from this explainer. First, just remember it's a big family of 8 very different viruses. Second, their signature move is that they are lifelong. They do this through something called latency, that sneaky ability to hide out dormant in your cells. And number 3, and this is probably the most important thing to remember, they are manageable. We don't have a cure, but we do have effective antiviral drugs to treat the symptoms and keep things under control. And all of this brings us to one final big idea. When you realize that these viruses are permanent fixtures in so many of us, it naturally leads to a huge question about what's next? I mean, if these viruses are with us for life, what does the future of dealing with them look like? How are treatments going to get better? Can we maybe, one day, develop vaccines to stop these lifelong infections from ever starting? And what else are we going to learn about how these little viral houseguests affect our health over a whole lifetime? These are the exact questions that scientists are working on every single day.
And that is our look at the herpes virus family. Hey, thank you so much for watching. If you found this explainer helpful or just learned something new, we would really appreciate it if you'd hit that like button, share it with someone who might find it useful, and, of course, subscribe to the MediByte channel. We'll see you next time.